Hey guys, so last time we talked about supply and demand and their equilibrium, and briefly talked about what happens to the supply and demand curves under different conditions. So check out that video if you haven't already. Today let's continue with this topic and talk about price floors and ceilings, taxes, and the deadweight loss it creates in an economy. So we have our supply and demand curves as before, with the equilibrium price and quantity P star and Q star. But let's now say the government puts a limit on the price of something. If the government puts a price ceiling, maximum price for something, above the equilibrium price, it has no effect on the economy because people are already paying below the ceiling. But if the government puts a price ceiling below the equilibrium price, it creates a shortage. So this value of Q2 minus Q1 will be the output shortage in the economy. A good example of this is rent regulations. In cities where rental prices are out of control, the local government can put maximum prices on rent. This creates a shortage because landlords will not want to rent out their properties at lower costs, considering that other fixed costs like maintenance and property taxes will stay the same for them. So what you'll have is first-comers having their apartments for a cheaper price and a bunch of people who may be willing to pay more but can't not being able to find an apartment. So likewise, if the government puts a price floor, minimum price for something, below the equilibrium price, it will have no effect on the economy because people are already paying below the floor or above the floor. But if there is a price floor above the equilibrium price, it will create a surplus. So this value of Q2 minus Q1 will represent too much of something in this economy. An example of this is minimum wage. If we consider your time as a good and minimum wage is the price floor, then the government raising minimum wage may leave some people without a job. Think about it. Some people who can only offer unskilled labor may be okay with $7 or $8 an hour, and employers may be okay with paying that much. But if the minimum wage goes up, those people may be left without jobs because employers are not going to want to pay them more money. Now let's look at a scenario of a tax being applied to a certain good. Because a tax means costs increase, like in the previous video, the supply curve shifts up. Now we have our new equilibrium quantity, which we can denote QT, the index T meaning tax, and we have two new prices. So the amount which the consumer pays is PC, and the amount which the producer receives is PP. Indices here meaning consumer and producer respectively. The triangle bounded by QT, the demand curve, and the initial supply curve is called the deadweight loss, and it's a measure of lost economic efficiency. It's production loss due to non-optimal conditions. It pretty much says how many dollars worth of stuff was lost in the economy. And this rectangle bounded by PC, PP, QT, and the vertical axis is the tax revenue in dollars generated by the government. Now, if you think about it, the formulas for both the deadweight loss and the tax revenue are pretty obvious. Because deadweight loss is a triangle, we just use the formula of a triangle to figure out the dollar value. So the deadweight loss is equal to 1/2 times the price difference times the quantity difference, right? It's 1/2 times base times height. So it'll be 1/2 times the difference of the prices, so PC minus PP, times the equilibrium price minus the equilibrium quantity minus the tax quantity, Q star minus QT. And the formula for the tax revenue generated by the government is the formula of a rectangle. So it will be the quantity, QT, times the difference in price, PC minus PP, the area of the rectangle. So that's it for this topic. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please click subscribe and check out more of our videos. Stay geekly, my friends.